It's a great honor for me to be here. And the way I would like to introduce myself and to introduce this opportunity to have a TED Talk is to say that I recognize myself as someone that really would like to use all the opportunities of my time. And I was very fortunate, I think, to live in a time in which, in the 67 years since I was born, the population of this planet has tripled. We were 2.8 when I was born, and now we are 8 million. We lost biodiversity, 69% of our biodiversity, but we also, and now we have like a change of the earth manifested in 40% of our planet degraded, 6 billion of land degraded, and 3 billion of people affected. In spite of that, I recognize that I was born in a time of great opportunities, and I am a witness of that. And this is what I want to share with you in my journey of how I could transform as an individual and a woman. I could transform what supposedly is a very challenging scenario into something that we can invent and make positive. No? So my share with you will be of how I navigate and created, of course, with many other people, this change that we want to see in the world. Of course, when we see this kind of pictures, no, that is recent, it's from September, it's just from last month, we remember, we say, how do we react? And at the same time, when I was just becoming to be a woman, I had the opportunity to engage in the global feminist movement. And this movement of women that were like me, willing to manifest and to share what was private in the public to create like a way of living that was more according to our values, and also to look into sisters around the world with new eyes, not from the eyes of a patriarchy in which we were born, but from the eyes of women with whom we could ally. And I was very fortunate to meet this woman, no, and to meet these women, and founding We Do, which was a very important organization throughout that changed the lives of millions of women through using the platforms of the UN conferences of the 90s. So I think it was the first time in history also that civil society and different sectors could use these platforms to voice their very specific issues, their very specific questions. And I think that this was certainly something in which that we had never had before. And the ones among you that probably were part of the Earth Summit, the Rio 92 conference, knew that we didn't have, it was unprecedented, the opportunity of participating with different sectors, with governments, talking to each other, talking in the corridors. And we really thought at that time that we could change the world. And that continues over the years in the 90s, in which we had a series of global conferences, the UN Conference on Human Rights, on Habitat, on Women. And really, we could channel all these aspects that we thought were very important into these documents that governments and people around the world could share, could integrate in their daily lives, in their daily advocacy. And I think it was a moment, the decade of the 90s, of a lot of learning in which we made many friends. I made many of my friends that still are connected with my actions today during those years. And then it came it came to a point, no, that which is also part of this process, in which we had, as we had access to so much knowledge, we had also access to something that I think is very important. That if you want to drive change in the world, you also have to change yourself. And I saw many of my friends, activists, global leaders, not having the opportunity to really delve into this aspect, no? But I did. This is also, I retain that as the women's movement. I retain also all the movement of human potential development that was also parallel as a great phenomena of the 20th, the second part of the 20th century, a very important tool that we have to enter the complexity of the 21st century, no? And I just took a quote here of Pema Chodron, somebody that I really admire and follow and read books, that just where you are, that's the place to start. And that's what I took going back on the after the 2000s, and looking into, I was also at this moment in the very important change, a turning point of my life, in which what I had done during the 90s didn't fulfill me anymore. I really felt that there were many aspects of my life of really being part of the change and transform myself as we transform the world, and kind of looking into your partners, looking into the relationships and how we can kind of make it all one thing, you know. And this was when I decided to really delve into this very ancient wisdom body of knowledge that come from people, men and women, that have cultivated this through centuries and millennia, no? And what this led to me is embracing a place. I said, which should be the best way for me to learn that and to really transform myself in relationships, all the things that we talked about, that we have to integrate everything, that we have to be inclusive, that we have to address like the global and the local. I thought my way of doing that was to think, maybe I have to commit with a place the rest of my life. And yes, and that place was Sinal do Vale. Sinal, which is Sinal? I always think, you know, did I choose the place or the place chose me? I don't know how to answer. I think it's much more, it could be that the place chose me, but I so chose the place. And the important thing of that moment was that I was totally open. I really was willing to have a new experience, to forget who I was, a global feminist, a global environmentalist, known as somebody that had been throughout all this process of the UN global conferences of the 90s, and I wanted to learn how to be in a place, you know, a place that was quite far from me, because I have never really been a farmer or I had been global and local and strategist. And Sinal do Vale, when I chose the name, it became clear to me what I had to learn. First step, so Sinal stands for, the name Sinal. When I chose the name, immediately the three words that would be the principles of Sinal came to me. Synchronicity, Sinal, synchronicity, innovation, and joy. Of course, joy is not, but in Portuguese it would be sincronicidade, inovação e alegria. And these three principles were so important in like being a thread of how I was guided and also guided Sinal. Synchronicity, because you have to learn to be with the rhythms of the place and of nature. innovation, because we need to innovate by working together, no? Which seems to be easy, but it's not, because you, in a place like this, you depend, we are really interdependent. We all depend on each other. We all have to somehow articulate, on an everyday basis. You have to really create conversations and dialogues and listen to each other, things that I never had done on that way. On that way, in the sense that you have every day to almost make a rearrangement of everything, because things change and all that. And alegria, because alegria is actually the result of when you do something that really has value. When you have alegria, you know that what you have done has value. And these three things have been along all these 13 years that Sinal was born, like key principles that I see all the time emerging and coming through. No, so and of course there is the question of being in Mata Atlântica, being in the buffer zone between the urban encroachment of Rio, which is Baixada Fluminense, and the Serra do Mar, which is the mountains of Serra do Mar, which is still considered a big a big hotspot of biodiversity in Mata Atlântica. No? So that's why it's the 200 hectares developing regenerative solutions for the Atlantic forest and the world. So why Sinal? Why Sinal? Because of course, we need, I think there are three things that are important to highlight and that I come to the conclusion over the experiment of these years. First, you need a place, but it's not just a place. You need to work. The place has to be at the center of all this strategy. And in this case, Sinal has always been, for me, has been the center. And it was also this exercise of learning how to put the language and what the place, even if the place Sinal doesn't speak Portuguese or English, it speaks on itself. It has its history. Before we had much longer than my and our stay there, and it will be after we are there. So Sinal is our holding, and is from where we have also to learn. The other aspect that is very important is the question that you need a container for all these relationships that come from different ways of life to converge. And the third aspect is that you need a possibility of incubating some of these strategies and nature-based solutions for the region, which are, and so this is how. So these are an illustration of some of the solutions that we have come across in these years of Sinal. Madre frutos, and the choice of the jackfruit is because the jackfruit was brought by the enslaved people, brought by the Portuguese to feed the enslaved people that came to that region, but the tree is there. It's very abundant. It can provide food. It can replace meat, which is one of the main sources of climate change, and it gives employment for women of the region that are many times are single mothers or and can have a job close to where they live, and sometimes even bring their children. We are creating a gastronomy, and we are also helping to create new ways of using what is available, what is abundant and is available. Then the Guanabara Bay Trail, which is a long-distance ecotourism path that was our way of entering this bioregion that is around us, the bioregion of Recôncavo da Guanabara. So the Guanabara Bay Trail is 100, you can see here, is 110 kilometers that goes across 5 cities, 11 protected areas, and 3 regeneration centers. And this is a way for us to really having since in all civilizations, trails have been a very important way of people to connect, and we have one. And it has allowed us also to connect to many other stakeholders and partners, and Movimento Viva Água, the trail is part of this platform of many different stakeholders, governments, companies, and we are innovating in the way also we collaborate, and the trail has been a critical aspect of this. And then we have also on the trail the possibility to do innovative new partnerships, as we are doing with the Italian company that has just been presented here by Massimo Aboca, and using a large, connecting Aboca to this very large land of the landless movement that had been abandoned with many problems. So I think that the locality, the bioregion, allows us to do all this, no? So the ultimate impact is, of course, we are bringing potable water for 1 million, but actually the Recôncavo da Guanabara supplies 9 million people with water. We are protecting endangered species like the Gondor lion tamarin. We have an ongoing learning to bring regeneration efforts worldwide, because at Sinal we have many international meetings and we are a regeneration hub for meetings. We bring a lot of young people that are learning how to engage in this field of the green jobs and the regenerative jobs. And we have over this 17 years since I got to this valley, we have received 4,000 young people from all over the world, people that are willing to have a safe place to express themselves, that many times, most times, the university, the education as it is organized today doesn't provide. So a lot of students from different places of the world that come to gap years, and some of them stay over time, no? This has brought us to bring this theory of change that we have been sharing across many levels, and of course using the G20 this year, that the scale in which we really can interact is a bioregion. Our bioregion is the Recôncavo da Guanabara. Sinal is a biohub, as many others, but Sinal is a catalyst and an enabler, and the field that we are addressing is the bioeconomy. So what we want to do, and we are doing, because I am also co-chair of the UN Decade for Ecosystem Restoration, which I think is a platform to address exactly these new ideas, no? And the flagship has this strategy of identifying these large biomas, like the Mata Atlântica and other 17 and other 16, and these biomas, in the Mata Atlântica, which is a place, you know, as we know, where 71% of the Brazilian population it gathers 80% of our GDP, and 9 of the most important of the 12 river basins. So we want to show and to share that this framework of the biohubs, bioregion, and bioeconomy can be a way of creating maybe an alternative for the type of, for the big challenges that we face in Mata Atlântica. Because, as you see, still, even though we have all these beautiful initiatives that we believe too much, still the private investment in the harmful economy is 140 times higher than the regenerative economy. But we believe that if we create ways, a decentralized way of many possibilities of biohubs and people around these initiatives that are more in a scale, are ways in which people can create, co-create, and grow together. This can be possible, no? And yes, and I think the important thing is that every day we can do something. That's what happens at Sinal, planting trees and really helping this every day to nurture this love for life, no? Because as Janine Benyus says, life creates conditions conducive to life. So I think this is to some extent a way in which, in spite of the difficult realities we are facing with climate change, with all the challenges that seem to be unsurmountable, we still have to believe in life, you know, and this is what I do every day. Thank you.